Hello everyone, Jen here today for Country Craft Creations. And today I'm going to show you the completed album as promised, and then it will follow with a tutorial on the base and the pages. I have used an entire 8x8 pack of the Our Graduate paper to make this. I have one sheet of paper left over. So to make this album, I used the regular chipboard that is available at the Country Craft Creations store. And I've used black artisan cardstock and done that in the lay flat method. This is a 5-inch tall by 7-inch wide landscape style brag book. I have a 2-inch spine. And then all of the matting that was done in here was done with the Pearl Sheen Gold artisan cardstock. And the rest is the black artisan cardstock. So for our cover here, I just took a piece of chipboard, black chipboard, and I used a die from my stash and cut that out in a circle that was a little bit larger than this piece in the paper. Cut that out, inked it with black distress ink, and then placed it on top there to pop it up a little. And just added a little stripe on the front so it kind of coincides with the paper on the back. And I didn't want this to be an overly embellished album. This is very simple, very sleek design. There's not a lot of embellishing going on. There's not a lot of, there's no flowers. And I just, like I said, I just wanted to keep it simple. And so that is how I've done this, and keep that black and gold front and center. So I've used black seam binding, also available at on the online store for my closure. And when you open this up, I've done an angled pocket here. And then I made this fun little card that has a belly band using the gold pearl sheen and one of the cut-aparts. And when you open this, this is just a fun little pop-up card to give as a gift. So if you're giving this book as a gift and you want to make a little fun card, a pop-up card like this is super, super fun. And I just fussy cut the balloons from the paper, made a simple pop-up style card with the black artisan, and then covered it in a heavier weight black cardstock for my little card there. And that just slides on and just adds a little something if you're, like I said, if you're giving this as a gift. Then on to this page here, we have a flip open, which has a pocket on the back side. And it's just a little tuck spot for a journaling card, which I've used, a photo mat. I guess it could be used as a journaling card as well. And then you have this lovely photo mat page here. All of the papers in here, Our Graduate papers, were inked using the black soot distress ink. That is an option. And this little page here has one of the cut-aparts, using that as a tuck spot to put a little 4x, I think these are 4 3/4 by 5 3/4 is what they came out to be, or 4x6. Just so that you could 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. That's what they are. So that you can put a 4x6 picture on there if you like. And then I just have some of these tiny little paper clips to hold that in place. This here is a die from my stash that I cut the black artisan cardstock and made that fun little silhouette piece to add to Our Graduate photo mat page. This page, again, we have another smaller. These are, I believe this is a smaller. So this photo mat is 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And then I just added one of the cute little cut-aparts that you get with the paper and put that in the tuck spot. This little page here is super fun. So it's a magnet closure using one of those cut-aparts mounted onto the gold pearl sheen cardstock. And this one flips open like so. Now you could put another tuck spot page like the last flip open here, or just leave this blank. You could attach a picture to this. You can do whatever you like for your decorating preferences. This one here, we have another 4x6 journaling card that I have put in, made this flap a pocket. Now these are also the ones that have these flaps here. 2 of these have a pocket here. And I will be showing in my tutorial how to make these so that things can be stuffed inside. So this page here is actually also a pocket, which is kind of fun. Then you have another one like that right next to it. Again, we have a fun little page, and I'm going to grab one of these and show you. So this would just slide in here. So you can put whatever you want inside of these. little tuck pockets. And then we have another flip open with a photo mat. This page, I made another little angled pocket using the black artisan cardstock. And then I added some of the cut aparts to it before adhering it. And I will show how I did that in my tutorial going forward. 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 photo mat slipped in there using the black artisan cardstock. And a couple of these pages, as you will notice, and I will go over it in my tutorial, do not have the gold matting. And I will go over that in my, like I said, in my tutorial. Here we have another angled pocket with another 4 by 6 photo mat. Here we have another fussy cut tuck spot. And obviously this one is too large, but you could put a smaller photo here or something, because I've kept that open so that it can have something tucked inside. Then our last page, again, we have created a photo mat. It's a 4 by 6. This one is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And this has a belly band that this just slips right inside of there. And I have my tutorial will show you how I tuck this so that you get all that extra space, rather than doing it the traditional way where you just put your hinges on the top. Finally, the back portion of this is a magnet closure, and it is a waterfall. And we have 6 waterfall pages. They are blank on one side, and they alternate between the black artisan and the pearl sheen gold artisan cardstock. And then the bottoms were just embellished a little bit with some of the paper that I had scraps of. And then on the back here, we just have this other little spot here. And I added this here. I do explain this in my tutorial. When I put the waterfall on, I actually had an oops. We all have oopses as crafters. And I didn't put my magnet underneath this paper. So I just added this fun little scrap of paper on here to cover up my magnet that's under here. But I would suggest placing your magnet closure together before adhering all of this paper here. So that is my album. Next, I will show you how I created this album and how I decorated it. And you can choose to decorate along with me and decorate in the same pages, or you can do it your own way. Add your own little flair to it. Put the pages where you like, and just have some fun with it. It's a super fun little album. So this album, again, is 5 by 7, and it's in a landscape way. So we have 7 inches this way, 5 inches tall. We have a 2-inch spine. And I have done this in the lay flat method using black artisan cardstock, and then also created a 6-page accordion spine system for the pages. So let's just get started, and we're going to start by decorating our inside and back covers. And for that, I am going to grab 2 sheets of my gold, and then I have cut out of this one the balloon side with congratulations, which will be here. And then I flipped that, and I'm going to use this side, I believe. Or maybe we'll go ahead and use the balloons. Yeah, we'll go ahead and use the balloons so it all matches nicely. So we're going to start with our gold pearl sheen artisan cardstock as our mats. Place that down on this front piece here, leaving that little bit of black all the way around. Then we're going to take our congratulations page with the balloons, and we may put a little strip here too. I'm not quite sure yet, because our middle, the way I did this spine system is a stack the deck method, where these are each a 1/2 inch smaller. So there's a 1/4 inch in between them when you lay them down, but you have a 1/2 inch left over at the end. So these 2 middle ones will be pocket pages. So they're going to need that little extra space. But I'm not sure, I may add some paper here. So let's go ahead and flip the album over. Wipe off anything on there we don't want on. So we're first going to lay our gold. Now our fronts and backs are the same measurements. Our gold is 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, just like the inside. And we're just going to do our mats for now because we need to put our ribbon on top of this and sandwich it between the two papers. So this is going to be our backside here. But for now, we're just going to put the gold pages and then we'll do our spine piece. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do our spine piece. And this is going to be a 1 7/8 by 4 7/8. And that will go right in the middle there. Try to line that up with your top and bottoms of your front and back pieces. And this one we can go ahead and ink the, I've cut this out of the top of one of the pages that was left over. It was this page here, and I just cut the top piece. It worked out perfectly to have that Our Graduate as my spine. So then you just want to decide if you want your graduate this way or if you want it this way. I prefer it this way. You can do it either way. And this piece here will be 1 3/4 by 4 3/4. We're just going to line that up in the middle of our gold. Nice and straight. Okay, so for our ribbon, we're going to use some of the seam binding that is from Country Craft Creations store, and this is in black. And then I just want to go to the front and the back of my book here, and I am going to put some glue down. And you can do this with score tape as well. And you can also measure it out so that you know you get exactly that 2.5 inches. Knowing that your paper is 5, want to make sure that you have that right about that 2.5 inch mark. So now we have our front and our back of our paper, and I have chosen this one for my front. This is not going to be an overly embellished album, so I wanted that little piece there. I'm also going to cut another one of these out, fussy cut it, and raise it up a little bit on top of this one so that we have 2. So we're going to start with that. Go ahead and ink that cover. Just going to go ahead and glue that up. Again, this measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, just like our inside. And we want to make sure that where we're putting that, we're getting enough glue where that ribbon is, just to be sure that it stays down. So I'm going to go ahead and ink our other, which is our back side. Got it all burnished out, and there we have our front, our spine, and our back with our ribbon. And that will line up just perfectly and tie. We can cut off any excess. We're also going to want to glue the ends once we do cut off the excess. And you can do that at this point, or you can do it later. So next I'm going to move on to the pages, and we're going to make those and then put them in. Okay, so next we're going to add a waterfall page system in the back, on the back cover. This will fit right in here, and you will see part of this, and this is going to go sideways. So we are going to take both from the Pearl Sheen Gold and the Black Artisan, 3 of each at 4.5 by 4 3/4. And now what we're going to want to do is we're going to take this and put this on our 4 3/4, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch on all of these. So put it in at your 4 3/4 mark and score at 1/2 inch on all 6 of these. Okay, so now that I have all the tops of those scored and burnished at that 1/2 inch, I'm going to add some glue to that 1/2 inch flap. And I just want to butt this up right at the edge of our decorative paper and right in the middle. So you're going to have about 1/8 inch on either side of that decorative paper from the collection showing underneath. And that's what we want. We want this to be nice and burnished down and straight all the way down. And then just go ahead and go in and burnish that side as well. And then the next one's going to be gold. So you can see where this is going. We're just going to alternate our colors, gold and black. I'm going to butt that one right up next to the other one. Now, keep in mind, I like, when it comes to waterfalls, I like to make sure that my paper is lined up, not only with the paper on the page, but also with the waterfall page before it, before I completely burnish down my paper, because sometimes our score lines do get a little wonky, and that can be fixed later when we add paper to this. So I'm just going to go ahead and burnish all that down, and then we'll just continue adding pages until we're done with our waterfall. Okay, so for our waterfall magnetic closure, which I unfortunately decided to add at the end. So this paper here on our back cover inside should have been laid. This should have been laid before that. But I was able to just take my paper, and the glue I used was not completely solid, but I would suggest putting this in before you lay this paper in your waterfall. So what this is this is a piece of the black artisan cardstock that is 1 7/8 inches wide, and it's 6 7/8 inches long, and it was folded and scored right about that 4 1/4 inch mark, and that last little bit there is what needs to go in here. So this is going to be a little messy, but there are oopses in crafting, unfortunately, and I made an oops. But to save yourself this step, I would just suggest adhering this to your mat, to your gold mat on the back before doing this. So I'm just going to slide this in, and like I said, it probably will get a little messy because it is glue. And I just want it to go up to that gold paper right there, and as close to the middle as I can possibly get it. But as you can see, it is possible to fix it. So now I want to cover that. So I've taken a piece of the paper with the polka dot background and all the little skulls and the hats for graduation, and I've cut that down to 1 3/4 wide, and I need to figure out how much space I have here on the front and back of this. So I have about 4 1/8. So we're going to take this down to 4 inches. And this should be 8, so we should be able to cut this right in half and have a piece for both the front and the back as well. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. I'm going to add some ink to the edges. Just add glue to that strip. Of my little band closure here. Burnish that down nice and neat. And then what we want to do is take our magnets, and I'm using the basic gray magnets from the Country Craft Creations store. These are the large magnets, and I have a plus and a minus side. And what I want to do here is I want to figure out right where I want that. So I'm going to want this on here, like so. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to fold my waterfall, and I'm going to figure out right about where that magnet is going to be, which is about here. And there you have that. And this is where we're going to want to put our magnets. I'm going to go ahead and peel the back off of that plus side of my magnet, if it will cooperate. I don't have a lot of fingernails. And again, just going to place that down and stick it. Then we can flip this over, ink our paper for our back side, which I'm going to use the polka dot side, the blank side. the back side of the paper. Ink that up, put some glue on there. And then we're just going to put this over the magnet. And cover that up. And as you can see, I've clipped down my page system, my spines in the middle, just so they're not in my way. It's just a little tip. Okay. Now we want to put this magnet down. So now what we need to do is peel the backing off of this one. And we want this to go there. So we're going to pull that off. And here we're just going to add a strip of paper in the end when we decorate our pages. So now we have our waterfall, which you can decorate these pages again any way you like. Next, I'm going to add, decorate some pages and put those in. And I will tell you that the pages, I've used the black artisan cardstock, and these pages will all measure, grab my ruler here. They are 4 3/4 inches tall by 5 or 6 3/4 inches long. And that is without any kind of matting. This is just your base paper for your pages. And you will need 6 of those. I'm going to do two that are like this, which have 2 pockets, and I will show you how to create one of those really quick. Okay, so now we're going to design the double pocket pages. These are actually could be considered a triple pocket because there will be a pocket for the main part as well as these 2 little flat pockets. So what you need for this is a piece of paper. The black artisan is what I am using, that measures 10 inches by 9 3/4 inches. And the first thing you're going to do is place this on your scoreboard at that 10-inch mark and score all the way down at 1/2 inch. Then again at 5 1/4. And then we're going to turn our paper and score it at 3 inches. So this is what you'll have. A score line at 1/2 inch, a score line here, and then one across the bottom. This little area down here we do not need. So we're going to clip that out. Just go ahead and cut that along the score lines. And you can use a cutter for this or scissors. I am just going to use scissors. And you can always go back in and trim it if it does not go exactly your way the first time. I'm trying to cut out as much of that scoring as possible. And then you're also going to cut on that 3-inch score line up to the other score line. So just down that middle piece up to there. So now what we have left is these 2 pieces here, the score line down the middle. These are both 4 3/4, and then we have this 1/2 inch. Go ahead and score, or excuse me, fold your 1/2 inch. And burnish that down, and then we're going to fold it again. On my paper. And then these will fold, as you can see, up on both sides. And that little 1/2 inch mark, what that's doing is just ensuring that our pocket, when it opens, will be the full pocket. Okay? So the first thing you're going to do is either run score tape or glue down that pocket. I'm going to miter the corners of mine, which is optional. I'm just going to take a little off both sides there at an angle. And then I am going to add score tape down this little flap, that 1/2 inch flap. And what this does is it acts as a gusset for your pocket, so that you don't have glue, so part of your pocket is not removed. In other words, if you just glued this down, you would have that 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of space that you couldn't slide something in. This makes it so that our pocket is as wide as our page. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to peel that backing off. Fold this over. And now you have a full pocket, as you can see, rather than having a partial pocket. And then these, I'm just going to take my corner rounder and round both of the tops of these flaps. And then we're going to bring this in and put it in our book. I've already put one in. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in. And I'm going to put this one in at this end so that I have pockets. This one has the pockets on this side. This one will have the pockets on this side. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and add some score tape to the back side of my hinge. Burnish that score tape down nicely. And then I'm just going to peel this back and pull it over and just bend it a little bit because I want to be able to grab a hold of this. And I'm going to burnish my pocket down just a little bit better, my page, on all of the fold lines so that it lays nice and flat before I put it in the book. And we're going to put this one in this way. So you just want to kind of open that flap up and slide that over and pull that off. And I want to slide this over, but I don't want it to stick just yet. So we want to put it on here, and then we're going to line it up before we completely stick it down to that score tape. We want to make sure that it lines up with this page, and it does. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. And as you can see, this is open as well. So we will go back and we'll glue that. But if you put glue on both sides at once, it just doesn't work for me. It may work for some people, but for me, it doesn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my glue. I'm just going to slide the tip of my glue in there. And burnish that down nice and neat. Oh, I don't think any glue came out. It's helpful if the glue actually comes out of the bottle. Okay. Right, and now we have our little pocket, and we also have these flaps. Now we can add pages to these, extra pages to these flaps, or we can just make them into pockets as they were originally meant to be. Okay. Next, we will decorate the rest of the pages and put them in. And I will show you that these, again, are all 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And these will all just be placed on the page like so. And then we will decorate them. And you just want to make sure when you put your pages in that they line up with those other pages when opened and closed. Okay, so now we're going to decorate all the pages of the album, and we're going to start with the waterfall in the back. So I want to embellish these ends of my pages of my waterfall. We have 6 of those. So what I've done is I've dug into my bin of scraps after cutting all of my pages that are papers that cover my pages, and I've taken a couple different sheets of the paper, and I will slide these over so you can see them a little better here. So these are 3/4 inch by 4.5 inch strips from the paper. And I've cut from 2 different papers. The first one was this one here. And then I did not have enough of that one in my scrap, so I decided to alternate and use these dotted. Now these have all been inked in the Black Soot Distress ink. And we are just going to adhere these. And I'm going to do this upside down. Because it will be a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to glue these, and I'm going to start from the back because I think it might be a little bit easier to do it that way. So we're just going to take our first one, which would be this one. I want to make sure that I'm doing this the right way. So I'm going to flip these around to make sure that I'm grabbing from the right ones. I don't want my papers to get all wonky. Okay, so we're going to turn to that last page, and I'm going to go ahead and add some glue to this one. Okay, so we're just going to add glue to that little strip. And we're going to place that on the very bottom of that page. Just line it up all the way, corner to corner. Make sure you're nice and straight. And I'm just going to grab my little inky rag. So we're just going to continue on in adding these one at a time to the ends of our papers. So let's see here. I'm going to add one of our little cut aparts here. And I'm trying to see. I think I like the look of that one. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that one. So let's go back to the beginning here, and we're going to go ahead and add an angled pocket to this page. Now I have cut my angled pocket from a piece of cardstock. In angled pockets, there are many different ways to make them. I choose just to place it on the book itself and then decide where I'm going with it. This is 7 1/4, and at its tallest, it was 5 inches. No. So let's see here. 4 3/4 of an inch. And then I just laid it down and bent it back so I could see right where I wanted my pocket. And then I did 1/2 inch flaps for the pocket itself. And those have been, the bottom of that corner there has been mitered. And we are just going to go ahead and add the patterned paper, which I cut using kind of a system of eyeballing, I should say. I just measured this out here, this area, and cut my piece. And I've used this diamond, or I would say Harlequin paper. We're going to go ahead and ink that. Line that up, leaving just a little bit of that black showing all the way around. There we go. Clean it up with my rag. And then I'm going to put this fun little guy right here, this little graduate. So I'm going to go ahead and ink him up. And I'm going to put 2 of these on here stacked. So I'm going to put this one at kind of an angle, like so. And then we are going to take another one. Let's go with this graduation one. These are super fun to use. You can also make clips out of these. If you don't want to stick them to your pages, they make amazing little clips. Okay, so now we're just going to lay that one. It's going to kind of go a little bit straighter. And right on there. Just like that. And there was a little small round you could add. I'm going to go ahead and add that round one too. It's got like a little wax seal, and it adds that little touch of red, and I kind of like that look. So I'm going to go ahead and add that on there as well. Items in 3s that are stacked look better than even numbers anyways. So we're just going to do that just like so. And now we're just going to add glue. You can do score tape as well if you prefer it. Add that to the 1/2 inch flaps of our angled pocket. And this is just going to run right next to that paper. So leave the gold showing, but put it right with your patterned paper that's below. And it also leaves it so you can see that congratulations there when you pull whatever is tucked into the pocket out. Okay, so we're going to start with page 1 here. And I will let you know what the measurements of everything are. I've already cut everything out, and I will be inking as I go and probably adding some of the little tags as we go. You can decorate any way you like, or you can do it the same as I've done. So for this first page, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to add a flap. So this flap, I'll remove my little sticky notes, is cut from a piece of the black artisan cardstock, and this measures 4 3/4 wide by 6 inches long, and then I scored this on the edge at 1/2 inch. Okay, and that's just going to go right here in the end of our paper. So what I want to do first is I'm going to take a bit of glue and add it to that little 1/2 inch flap, the scored flap that I made. And then to make this a little bit easier, I am going to try to, don't know if I can, no, I'm not just do it this way. So we're just going to take that 1/2 inch flap and have the glue on there like so. And then you want to place it down on your page so that it lines up perfectly with the paper page itself. So we don't want it to overlap on the back, but we want it to match and line up. So we're just going to go ahead and burnish that down on the inside and the out. And now, as you can see, we'll have this fun little flip open. So next what we want, and you want to lay this down first because we're going to cover this portion here with paper and you don't want to see that flap. So that is the reasoning behind doing it first. So first thing we have here is our artisan gold pearl sheen paper, and this is going to be a matte, and this piece measures 4 5/8, and it is 6 5/8 inches long. Yes, 6 5/8, 4, 1, 2, 3, yes. So I just want to make sure. And I don't ink my mattes. You can if you like. I just prefer to leave them the way they are. So I'm just going to go ahead and place that down on my page, being sure that I am leaving enough of the black showing. And I don't want to hit that mark here. So you want to make sure that you're about 1/8 or about 1/16 of an inch away from the spine there where it where your score lines are. I'm just going to burnish all that down. And you can decorate your pages before you insert them onto the hinges as well. I chose to do it this way this time. Sometimes I do it the other way. It just depends, I guess, on what I'm feeling that day. So now I've cut this piece out, and this was the bottom portion of one of the pages in the collection. And I've just cut that out so that you can see that little graduation hat at the bottom. And the cover that goes over the mat is going to be 4 1/2 tall and 6 1/2 long. And we're going to go ahead and ink that. I have not pre-inked these. Fix that. Line that up a little better. All right, so we have that page. Now what we're going to do here on the inside of this little flap is I am going to cover the back side here with a mat and paper. But for the inside, we are just going to put a tuck spot pocket down here. Now this tuck spot pocket, you can choose to make it go all the way from end to end, or you can leave a little of the black showing like I'm doing. And this is going to be And I'm using the reverse side of this, which is the little graduation hats and feathers. This is 5 3/8, and it is 2.5 inches in height. I'm just going to line this up as good as I can with this paper here so that it matches up. So to go in this little tuck spot that we created, I have taken a piece of the gold pearl sheen artisan cardstock that measures 4.5 by 4 1/4, and I've rounded all of my corners on this. Now that is just going to slide right into that little tuck spot as a photo mat. Now to add some little texture or just a little bit better look to this, I'm going to take this fun little female graduate piece that's one of the cut aparts. I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going to place this at the top corner up here. And I'm only going to glue the edge so that if someone wanted to use this as a tuck spot for a picture, they could. So in order to do that, I'm just going to add my glue right up to there, about halfway. And it just leaves a little flap. And I'm going to adhere that. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that down. And then this, like I said, will just slide right in that little pocket there. Okay, so now we're going to embellish our flap, the front portion of it. We have our Artisan Gold Pearl Sheen mat, and this is 5 3/8 by 4 5/8. So we're going to place that down. Just make sure you leave enough of that black artisan showing all the way around. And then I have this little bit of the striped paper, and I am going to take that. Let's get this side too. We're going to use this side, which is the different little graduates, little pictures, and I absolutely love this piece of paper. And let me just get this inked, and then I will give you the measurement. So this little piece here that goes over our mat for our flap is going to be 5 1/4 by 4 1/2 tall. And there, as you can see, so now you have your flap open here, and this will be a nice spot for a picture, and we can add some picture corners here or something. We're going to move on now to page 2, which is just a normal page. There's no flaps here. This is just going to be our Artisan Gold Pearl Sheen and the graduation caps with the scrolls. So the Artisan, again, our mats are the Gold Pearl Sheen at 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. Again, that's 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. And then our designer paper is 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. And we move on to page 3. Now page 3, again, is a flat page. No over embellishing going on here. I may go back and add some different things to these. Go ahead, and this one I've chosen to cut the top portion of the page that says our graduate to go as my main portion of the page. And the same measurements go for all of the mats on the pages. They are, again, 4 5/8 by 6 5/8 for the gold. And then we'll add our graduate paper. Again, this is a flat page. Same measurements apply for your mats and your designer paper. So for the first part here, we already have this piece here, but we're going to add another flap. And I'm going to go ahead and embellish this, the front of this first. So what we have here is another one of our side flaps. And this is going to measure 5 1/4 by 4 3/4, and we have scored that down the right side at 1/2 inch. But we are going to take a piece of the gold pearl sheen artisan cardstock that is 4 5/8 by 4 5/8, and that will go here. This is going to be our mat. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate this first just because it's a little heavier. Before I add it to the page. This has a couple different items that go on top of it. So I just want to make sure that everything goes down smoothly. So we'll start with our mat. And there's that. That excess glue. And then our decorative paper, I've used this, what looks to be like a cushion, very pretty. This piece will measure 4 1/2 by 4 1/2. So now what I want to do is I'm going to add this little strip in the middle. And I have chosen to take some scrap of this paper. It has the damask on one side and the hats on the other. And I'm going to place this right about the middle of the page and glue it down. And it has been inked with the Black Soot Distress ink. And this is only going over our black paper. This is not going, and you can kind of use those dots across there as a guide to make sure you get your paper on here straight. Okay, and that is not straight. That's better. And then this is just another added look. So you see we have this like so. We have our little strip, and the strip, I will tell you, measures the same. It's the 4 1/2 inches wide, and then it is 1 inch high. So it's not a really big piece. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere this, add the glue to the back of my flap here, the 1/2 inch scored flap. And then I'm just going to grab my book and get that right up to the edge without going over. Make sure everything lines up, and then I will burnish this down. And you can also miter these corners on the inside if that is a preference, but you don't have to. So next we're going to go ahead and do the inside portion. And again, we have our gold pearl sheen artisan cardstock that is 6 5/8 inches wide and 4 5/8 inches. Yes, 4 5/8 inches tall. Line that up all the way around. There we go. Burnish that down. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to embellish this little flap here. And to do that, we want to put our gold on first, our mat, which is 2 7/8 inches wide, and it is 4 5/8 of an inch tall. So let's go ahead and put that on. burnish that all down. Now what we need to do is make sure that this lines up. So we can put our black on, as you can see. And this piece will measure 2 3/4 by 4 1/2. Go ahead and ink those edges. Add that to the paper, like so. Oops. All right. So now you see you have that. So this is why I wanted to put this on first. Here is our other strip of this. Again, that is 1 inch. And this one is 2 3/4 wide. And we just want to put this flap down so we can line this up with the other one. We want them to line up when it closes. And there we go. Line up nicely. Burnish that down. And there you can see, now we have this open and this opens. So let's go ahead and embellish this pocket here, or this flap. And for that, we have another sheet of the gold, the same size as the front part. Again, I will tell you, that is 2 7/8 inches wide, 4 5/8 inches tall. And I will tell you that this piece, as you can see, I had a little mishap with my corner rounder, but that's okay. I don't like to waste paper, so I'm just going to leave it the way it is, rather than cutting a whole new piece. There is no perfection in crafting. Okay, so for the closure on this page, I have taken one of the cut aparts and cut around it. I've adhered it to the gold Artisan Pearl Sheen cardstock and cut around that. And I put a magnet, a large basic gray magnet, on the underside of it and then adhered the other half here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to flip this and we're going to put the other side of that magnet. So I lined my magnet up. And now I'm going to adhere paper to the next page here so that it covers that magnet. And again, you have that magnet under there, so it might give you a little of resistance. So you may want to decorate your pages prior. Now this last one here, we're going to add, for our pocket, instead of a flap, this one is actually going to be a tuck spot. So you're just going to add glue to both sides and then bring it up and adhere it down. And then we will add our gold mat to that pocket, which is, again, with the measurements, 2 3/4 by 4 5/8. I had that there because I have a magnet in the back for a waterfall that was interfering with me trying to lay down the other one. So I'm going to flip this around so that I can burnish this glue down a little better on that score line. All right. And we will add something to this little tuck pocket. Next, we will move on to page 7. And we will add our paper, which is going to be this fun, I think I cut that one correctly. That's this one, actually. I grabbed the wrong one. Okay. For this, we're going to make this a flap. So you're going to grab your gold paper for the cover. Rather than making this a pocket, we're just going to make this one a flap. And you know what? I'm actually going to cut this one off. So for this one, I do not want this extra on this page. So I'm just going to cut right down the score line. This was one of our double pocket pages we made. However, I don't want a pocket here, so I'm just going to go ahead and snip that one off. And I will use that paper for something else. So now, as you can see, we'll have a pocket on this side and our pocket in here. Okay, so we're going to finish this book up. I am going to take first my Artisan Pearl Sheen Gold. Again, this is going to be 4 5/8 by 6 5/8, and we're going to put that down as our mat. And I will tell you, if you want to make sure when you're adding these pages after the fact, in other words, if you didn't decorate your pages before you put them inside of the book, I like to lift it up just to make sure that I'm got the same amount of the black edge all the way around. It's just a quick little tip. And then we have our 4 1/2 by 6 1/2 inch piece of the Our Graduate paper. And I've chosen the piece with all of the fun little feathers, scrolls, and caps. And that is going to go right down there as a photo mat. Just making sure that I'm even all the way around. And I'm going to burnish that down. And then this one, we have the flap again from our little pocket here. And this is optional. You can either cut this off, you can turn it back to this side and make this one another pocket like this one, or you can choose to keep this one as a flap for another small picture or something of that nature, which is what I am going to do. So I'm going to start with my gold, which is the mat for this inside piece. And this is actually going to stay blank. So we're just going to have the gold. There will be no other paper. This is also, like I said, optional. You can decorate your book any way you like, or you can follow mine exact, whichever you prefer. And that gold piece is going to be 2 7/8 wide and 4 5/8 tall. And then these outside corners were rounded with a corner rounder. So then we're going to do a little burnishing here just to make sure that that flap kind of stays. It won't probably stay perfectly down unless you decide to place a magnet there or something of that nature. I am not going to worry about it. I'm just going to finish decorating. This also is the same size as the one on the inside, which is that 2 7/8 by 4 5/8. And this one, we're going to actually embellish with this fun Our Graduate paper that has all the collage on it. And I'm just inking that with the Black Soot Distress ink. And this piece is going to be 2 5/8, or excuse me, 2 3/4 by 4 1/2. And then again, we have rounded the corners so that they match the rounded corners on our flap. I'll just place that down, leaving that gold showing all the way around. I just love this pearl sheen artisan paper. It's so pretty. Burnish that all nice and neatly. And there you have this fun little flap that you could write on. You could put something in here and use this as a photo mat. And that is that page. So we'll move on to the next. And for this page, I have collaged together some of the pieces of the cut apart. So these are the smaller cut aparts. This is one of the larger ones. And then I just made this little angled pocket and adhered those and then cut around them so I could have that. This will not have a gold mat on this page. It's going to be a full page of just the Our Graduate paper that is in a gold color. And we're going to place that down. So it's going to be the typical size of our mats. So we're going to have a 4 5/8 by 6 5/8 piece of this paper here. And the way I do some of my pockets is a little different than others. So I have scored my pocket here, my corner pocket, at 1/2 inch, but I'm going to slide this, if I don't drop it, into that paper like so. Okay. So bear with me. I'm just putting this in here because I don't want a super thick pocket opening, but I want enough of an opening. So then I'm just going to go back over that, those marks where I don't have any glue now. Add a little extra. And then we'll place this down on the page. So these are kind of hidden hinges for that pocket. I need to go down just a little further with this one. And put that pocket edge all the way up to the edge of the paper. Okay. A little bit of seepage of glue going on here. And like I said, because this is already in the book, you may have to lift your page a little and then burnish it after. Because we do have it tucked underneath there. And now you can see you have a nice pocket here. And another thing that doing it that way does is makes it so you don't have those hinge ends in the way, and you can still stick things to it very easily. So this page is very similar. It's going to have a little side pocket. So we are just going to, I've taken a piece of this paper to make my 1/2 inch hinged corner pocket. Is a scrap from the paper. This one will also not have a gold mat like the rest of the pages. This is the actual page. So this is going to be 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. And I'm just going to ink up my edges. And this is that Harlequin pattern. Has the graduates on the background. So the corner pocket is the flip side of this. Add the glue just where the pocket is going to be. And we're going to slide that pocket right over the paper. Line it up. Make sure that it goes all the way around. And see, you have that nice little flap, and there's no paper in your way. That's one of the reasons that once I found this method, I actually really like it. I don't always do it. If I want a more hinged pocket, I will leave the paper and put the hinges on the outside. But for this, I like to tuck them if I can. So then we're just going to put this down as if it were the mat. So you want to leave a little bit of the black showing, just like we did with the mats on the other pages. Like so. And there we go. Another page done. And then you just want to press your pockets down a little bit. And I have a simple black artisan cardstock photo mat that's going to slide right in there. Okay. So for the next page, we're going to do a gold mat. We also have a fussy cut from one of the papers, and then the paper with the stripes. And I will tell you, I ran low on my Pearl Sheen Gold, so I had to piece some pieces together. But this is going to go on this side, so you're really not going to see a lot of that crack in the paper, so to speak. So we'll put our mat down first. So we're just going to add our graduate paper, just like the other pages. And then place that down. This will act as just a photo mat. Again, we're not overly embellishing this album. This is not meant to be a super fancy album. It's clean and simple. So I'm just adhering glue around the edges of this and across the bottom. And then the hat portion of this will act as a tuck spot. Okay. So on to the final page. And this one is going to have a fun little belly band system. Again, this was the other page that I did piece together my mat. Of course, we're going to do it straight, Jen. And this one is going to have a fun little belly band feature that will actually hide that crack in my paper. So what I want to do for that is I just want to adhere this. We don't want to adhere the bottom portion of that mat all the way down yet. We're going to go ahead and add glue to this portion, or this paper. And what I probably should have done, I will tell you, that would make this a lot easier, is to place this on my mat first, and then do the belly band. And I did not do that, so bear with me here for a moment. So then we're going to take our belly band, which is just a simple scrap from my paper that I had left over, and ink that up around the edges that are going to show. And I am going to just slip that up underneath of here. And I've cut it to fit here. We're just going to add some glue again underneath of here, because I did not do this first. This is how I have to do it. And then I'm going to slip that belly band right over that cracked area of the paper. Make sure it lines up. Nice and straight. And it does. And then we're just going to adhere that down. And go underneath the belly band with your bone folder and just get all of that glue pushed down. And now you have this fun little belly band. For that back piece that I mentioned earlier, where we had the magnet showing, since I can't obviously go back and correct it, what I did was I took a piece of scrap and I placed it over the magnet. Now, for future reference, I would have put the magnet under this, our graduate paper before laying this down, and that would have been a little bit easier. But because of that, I just got this extra little fun striped piece of paper. So that is that album. Again, I will go through and show you the different pages. So we did a angled pocket on the front. We have our little flip here with a fun little photo mat that fits in the pocket. Photo mat page, photo mat page, photo mat page. And then our fun little open magnetic closure that gatefold opens. I chose to leave this black, but you could decorate this if you choose to. I might actually go back in and put this, because I do have a scrap of paper that I think would fit it. And so I may go back and do that. And then we have a pocket page, another photo mat page, a page with a flip, another pocket page, a angled pocket page, a tuck spot, a belly band page, and this will work for your photo mats. So you just slide them right in there. And that works out nicely. If your 1/2 inch flaps were adhered, like normal to the page, you wouldn't have as much freedom to put a larger size photo mat in here. And that's why I like tucking them and hiding them. This also fits in here. And then of course we have our 6 waterfall pages with our ends decorated. So all that's left to do is the cover, which like I said before, is not overly embellished. Okay, so off camera, I have gone ahead and I've taken some black lightweight chipboard and I've cut out that other circle, like our cover piece, and I've cut using a circle die that is a stitched, dotted look to it from my stash. And you can use any circle die or just use a circle punch, or you can fussy cut it. And I have made this little piece here. I'm going to mount this onto this, and this is going to go on our cover. Like I said, this is not an overly embellished album. There won't be flowers or anything like that. So this is just going to add a little bit of texture to and depth to the album itself. So we're just going to put that on there, burnish that all the way down, and then this will go on our cover. Like so. I'll pull the cover in and show you here. And this just adds a little bit more, as you can see, of a polished look. Okay? And I'm also going to add some stripe piece that I had cut off from the back of the piece. And this is going to go right in the middle here, underneath of there. It just adds a little bit more look.